All right, Nick, let's get into our Can We Please Comment segment, which will now feature comments that you and I have gotten on social media around our content. As you know, our producer, Tim Meehan, cuts clips of the show, different segments that we do, not only from you and I's perspective on certain things that are playing out, RFK Jr.'s recent interview on Joe Rogan, Lexi Rigdon, criminal defense attorney who came on to talk about Donald Trump. We had Lisa Desjardins over at PBS NewsHour talking about, Dianne Feinstein and her returning to the Senate and everyone's comments around that. So I'm going to read you, we're going to do 4 top comments here, and there's threads to it. And we're going to get a little bit of some eye rolls from you and I. We're going to get some reaction. And Tim, for the people watching on YouTube, Tim's going to put these comments up so everyone can kind of see them. And like I said, go follow us over on TikTok and on IG at Can We Please Talk Podcast, on Twitter at Can We Please Talk. And on LinkedIn, obviously, you can follow us at Leon Media Network, and obviously go to leonmedianetwork.com to see all the shows under the umbrella. All right, Nick, let's get into the first one here. So this one says, and this is under our criminal defense attorney, Lexi Rigdon clip, where she's talking about Donald Trump's possible defense strategy, right? Which is to delay, which we're kind of seeing a little bit play out right now.
Find out more information, find out the weak points of the people who are going to be testifying, and delay.
The first comment under it says, Donald Trump didn't make pregnant nurses get vaccinated while lying to them about the dangers to their unborn child because Biden and his cronies all had stock in Big Farm. And Big Farm is spelled F-A-R-M, not P-H-A-R-M. So strike one there for Greg Lowry 338. And then Mistake Hunter underneath him says, and yet it was under Trump that vaccines were produced within 6 months. Trump couldn't stop bragging how fast he made it possible. And he is in air quotes. And then Wendell Bogg comes in right under. He goes, right. He wanted them to drink bleach and stick a light tube up there behind. Nick, the entire sequence of Donald Trump not making pregnant nurses get vaccinated while lying to them, Biden's in bed with Big Pharma, Trump made the vaccines in under 6 months and bragged about it. That is true. And then he wanted to drink bleach and stick a light tube up there behind. Your thoughts, all of this on a criminal defense attorney's clip that she came on our show.
Wow. I mean, you had me at farm. Really. F-A-R-M. You had me there. As always, I am just thrilled by the engagement. And I say this to anyone that listens to the show, people who talk to us about the show. All comments are good comments, as crazy as that sounds, because it shows you care. It shows you want to be part of the dialogue. That being said, the whataboutism is funny. Like, what in the world do vaccines have to do with that person's appearance? Like, it just, like, there's this weird thing about if you bring up something about the president or former President Trump, immediately people must go look at President Biden. And other than, like, their ages, I struggle with what similarities these two men have in common, like, legitimately. Like, when you look at their respective, ways of growing up and their contribution to society and all that stuff. What really is that much of an overlap between these two guys? But yeah, that we get hit with that a lot. If we talk about one person, people immediately come back with, well, what about Biden? And I don't know what you do with that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what you do with that. I don't know if that's a real person or not. That's the one thing I don't do, and we don't do as a social media team. We dive into the muck, but we don't see if the person's verified or not. And maybe we should start looking into if Greg Lowry 338 and Mistake Hunter are real people. Maybe we'll start doing that. Social media team will start doing that. All right, let's get into the second one. Okay, now this is under PBS NewsHour correspondent Lisa Desjardins. Again, one of the most respected correspondents out there, Nick, in the industry. Okay, you can catch her filling in for Anna Nawaz and Jeff Bennett over at PBS NewsHour. She hosts Washington Week over on the weekend. She's fantastic. She's become a friend of the program. She's on the program to break down all the congressional issues, the debt ceiling battle. And this clip, which was one of our highest views clip on Instagram, had thousands of views, over 250 comments, thousands of likes.
Major influence on, and she was kind of a pillar here in the Senate. Now, I will say her decision to stay has undermined that legacy, I believe. While she still has a lot of respect, people aren't talking about her legacy as much as they're talking about, should she stay?
And this is from Perales 250. And he said about Dianne Feinstein, Senator Feinstein, even the devil doesn't want her yet in hell. Somebody goes, oh my God, that's a good one. I'll be honest, that's not terrible. McGrath Warren underneath says she doesn't even remember being gone for 3 months. And then Nick, the best, Blue Donkey, it says right underneath all of that, retire already, you old hag. You can't walk, see, or hear. And then there's some gibberish and barely speak, but barely is Barley, like barley. Your thoughts on comment number 2 from Perales? The devil doesn't want her in hell. Patrick Pregiato, oh my God, that's a good one. And then Blue Donkey telling her to retire already. Nick, this is getting more and more ridiculous. The segment may not make it for a second installment, but what do you think of that?
It's funny, folks. This is the beauty of like production meetings, which is what Mike and I have all the time. We're obviously friends for years, but basically when we talk about the show, we're planning, because this is not easy. We don't just turn the mics on and just go, right? Like Mike's a professional, we don't do it that way. But what we were talking about is I swore that we had discussed whether or not you're going to read the usernames. And I'm laughing hysterically that you are. I feel like I have to rate of those comments, like which ones do I which one am I giving the gold star to? And I got to go Blue Donkey because the username is just hysterical. But even the devil doesn't want you here is, that's good. That's terrible. It's terrible.
So it's so bad. It's so good. Again, what were you going to say?
But I was going to say, the thing that was interesting about that clip, though, is like a lot of the comments we had, it was one of the times that I feel like we almost unified the country, because regardless of where people were on the political spectrum, almost everyone came back with the same idea of like, this is crazy. Like, she probably should hang it up. And obviously, Lisa brought up on the show that people will say that, but let's also be fair, because there's plenty of men, in Congress that we could have made the same comment to. And that seems to be quiet. And she was right for saying that on the show. But yeah, those comments, it was one of the times that like America kind of came together. So look at us at Can We Please Talk, like bringing both sides of the political spectrum together in agreement of Dianne Feinstein should probably retire.
Listen, that's what we're trying to do here. There is a proverbial middle, folks. We're going to bring you in. Blue Donkey and Prigozhin, all these names are wild. This segment is phenomenal. All right. Let's get into the last one, because I said we were going to do 4. We're going to do 3 here. Okay. So now, we did recently about RFK Jr., his Joe Rogan podcast. And again, I mentioned this in the episode. I will say it again. Go listen to the interview for yourself at the Joe Rogan podcast. He's not paying us for that. He should be. But go check out the full interview. It's 3 hours and 4 minutes long. If you've got that much time, go listen to it in its entirety. We had a clip cut from it because, and I didn't even know this, by the way, unbeknownst to me at the time, because I had listened to about an hour, maybe an hour and a half of the interview. And I didn't realize that he had mentioned Dr. Paul Offit in the interview and a debate that he was trying to have with him before I even mentioned Peter Hotez, because that was the one that kind of came out of the interview, and everyone wanted Hotez to debate him and this and that, an environmental lawyer debating a scientist who's invented a vaccine. I mean, that sounds like a fair fight, especially when it's about medical issues. I compare it to like Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. The fight should not be a boxing match, and it should not be an MMA match. It should be something that neither is good at, right? And then we can see them play it out, because as McGregor kind of showcased, he hung in there, but he lost to a boxer because they were boxing. And if they had fought in mixed martial arts, McGregor should have won, because he's well-versed in that. So in that vein, let's read a comment from a clip that got posted on our social media handle. It was basically around him talking about placebo-controlled trials.
And none of them have ever been tested against in a placebo-controlled trial in a safety test prior to licensure.
I'm not going to comment about placebo-controlled trials. And you know who shouldn't be commenting about placebo-controlled trials is the guy who's an environmental lawyer that happened to go to Harvard. The first comment on the video, this is on our TikTok page. All this does is show me I need to be listening to RFK. And I said, because I took over the handle for this time, no one is stopping you, Clint. Make sure when you break your leg next time, we better not see you at the hospital, but at your lawyer's office. And he said, I think I'll continue to do whatever I want and not care what you or anyone else thinks of it. And I said, as you should, Clint, unless it's illegal, of course. Nick, an appropriate exchange with somebody who I'm not telling him to not listen to it. I'm actually advocating for you to go listen to it. As I've heard other shows, the All In podcast, the David Sachs and these guys, they've talked about, hey, this guy has tons of content. Go make your decision for yourself. And I'm in agreement with that. What do you make of the comments we got under that section about RFK Jr. and how he's kind of similar to whenever we do hashtag Trump or hashtag Biden? It's a whataboutism game. And now you've got a candidate that's in the Democratic Party that people will say, no, he's a Republican operative. He's in there to kind of fudge the numbers. What do you make of not only the comment, but RFK Jr.?
Yeah, to the comment that you got, that you exchanged with. Yeah, I wish that person listened to the rest of our show, because I was particularly proud of the fact that we really took apart, RFK Jr.'s argument. But also, I take special pride in the fact that there was just too many instances of inconsistencies that we noticed. Everything from what's on his campaign website to what he actually does in real life as it relates to politics, to a crazy stance he took, in Sacramento a few years ago, comparing vaccines to the Holocaust. And these are all out there. These statements are things he has said. And I think you have to take them in consideration when you're trying to evaluate the argument of someone. I think these things matter. I think that's part of your track record. Folks, obviously I do this show with Mike. I obviously do Educate US. If you dug around and found some wild things that I said, that really paint me in a corner of being really uninformed, a wild conspiracy theorist, what have you, you should bring it up and you should say, Nick, how do I take you seriously when you say these things? Right. And that's, I think, what we could be doing with RFK Jr. And the fact that a response that you got was, well, I should listen to this person more. You should. I mean, go soak it up wherever you want to, but you should also take pause and recognize that for a person who talks about taking money out of politics, but has people handing him money at his PACs, for a person who, claims that they are medically informed, but then also associates vaccines to the Holocaust, you should take pause and recognize that maybe there's just not something on the level with this person. And that's all we're asking. All we're saying is listen to what we've, dutifully looked up and presented to you as the listener and make an informed opinion. And if everything you took from that is, I need to listen to this guy more, then I would direct you to go read the article or read the editorial written by his family who says he's misinformed. Folks, if your family comes out there and is calling you out, and Mike and I talked about this on that episode, take that seriously.
Hey, thanks for watching the Can We Please Talk podcast. Whatever clip you just watched, we hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you stick around for some more. Subscribe to the channel. My partner's over here smashing the button. Come on, do him a favor. So hit subscribe.